Professor Dave here. Let's learn some Italian hellos and goodbyes.
He knows a lot about all kinds of stuff. Professor Dave explains.
If you're going to learn Italian, pronunciation and grammar are crucial, but we are going to have to learn a lot of vocabulary as well. You can't pronounce a word when you don't even know what it is, so part of this learning process will involve some memorization. Let's start with something simple. Every day we say hello and goodbye to various people. These salutations can be different depending on the context. We might say good morning or good night, depending on the time of day. We might use something formal if at work or with a stranger, or we could use a more casual greeting if with a friend. Let's learn some basic greetings so that you always know what to say in these scenarios. First, let's consider the concept of formal versus informal greetings. Italians tend to be more formal than Americans, so if you are addressing someone that is older than you or someone who deserves respect, keep in mind that some expressions will be inappropriate. First, let's start with hello. The simplest way to say this would be ciao. This is kind of like saying hi. You could also say salve, which is just a touch more formal, like the full hello. A bit more standard for interacting with strangers throughout the day would be a phrase like buongiorno, which can be used in the morning or afternoon, anytime until it gets dark. After that, you would say buonasera. Then, to say goodbye casually, you could say ciao again, if with a friend. That's right, ciao means both hi and bye. Another favorite is arrivederci, which is like the full goodbye. You could also say a presto, which means see you soon, if you expect to. Lastly, when saying good night before going to sleep, you should always say buonanotte. Buonanotte. Let's make sure to understand that buonanotte is very different from buonasera. Buonasera means good evening, which is appropriate to say as a greeting when you see someone in the evening hours. Buonanotte is not a greeting, it is a farewell, and furthermore, it is specifically a bedtime phrase. It doesn't make as much sense to say buonanotte when parting ways at the end of dinner. If you say this to someone, it either means you are going to sleep in that moment or they are. In addition to saying hello to someone, if you are meeting them for the first time, it's a great idea to introduce yourself. This works a bit differently than it does in English, as we won't literally say, my name is. Instead, it's more like, I call myself. So you would say, io mi chiamo. If I met an Italian, I could therefore say, io mi chiamo Dave. E tu, come ti chiami? In this second part, I am asking the name of the other person. A more formal way to say this is, lei come si chiama? Now let's assume that you already know the person you are saying hello to. You might ask how that person is doing. Again, this can be done a few different ways, depending on the number of people and the level of formality. If casual, you could say come stai to one friend, or come state to a group. Come stai, Marco? Come stai, Marco? Come state, ragazzi? Come state, ragazzi? An even more casual option would be come va? Come va? If intending to be more formal and respectful, one would instead say come sta or come stanno. Come sta, signora? Come sta, signora? Come stanno, signori? Come stanno, signori? The same thing can be said for excusing oneself. Whereas in English, the phrase excuse me is pretty universal. Again, in Italian, we will modify depending on the situation. If informal, we could say scusa or scusate. Scusa, Marco. Scusa, Marco. Scusate, ragazzi. Scusate, ragazzi. If more formal, we would say scusi or scusino. Scusi, signora. Scusi, signora. Scusino, signori. Scusino, signori. This will all make more sense when we start to learn how to conjugate verbs. If you want to add a little spice by adding please to any of these phrases, that would be per favore or per piacere. If things go your way, you can always say thank you by saying grazie. Take notice that the mafia movies, with their harsh Sicilian accents, have tricked Americans into thinking that this word is grazie. But Sicilians tend to garble the last vowel of every word. When fully pronounced, the word is grazie. Grazie. Now that we have learned how to ask someone how they are doing, we should also be able to answer this question. If Marco sees you first and asks, come stai? We have a number of expressions that describe how one might be feeling that day. Italians are a slightly pessimistic breed, so a lot of responses will start from the mid-range down, but there are some sunnier options as well. The best way you could be feeling would be benissimo, if everything is perfect. Gradually decreasing in quality, we can go through benone, molto bene, benino, abbastanza bene, non c'è male. This brings us to a neutral sentiment, in which case one could say, così così. Getting progressively worse from there, we could say, maluccio, male, malissimo, or even non ne parliamo, which means let's not talk about it. To clarify, when Italians say this, they don't really mean they don't want to talk about it. They mean, please ask me more, as Italians believe in the power of sharing their misery. And now a little scene to demonstrate some of these phrases. Ciao Franco, come stai? Non c'è male, però sono stanco, ho dormito poco. E perché? Ho un esame molto importante e ho studiato tutta la notte. Posso offrirti un caffè? Grazie, sei proprio gentile. Ma tu come stai? Non ne parliamo nemmeno. Gli esami, il lavoro, la ragazza che mi fa impazzire. Calma, calma, rilassati. La vita è breve. Veramente. Ciao. Ci vediamo. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon so I can keep making content. And as always, feel free to email me, ProfessorDaveExplains@gmail.com.